Welcome to this week's episode of the Lokar Car Show. We're in the South again. This week we traveled to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Summit Racing Equipment Atlanta Motorama. They call this town Hot Lanta for a reason, and not just because of the heat. When you see all the hot cars on today's show, you're going to learn the real reason they call it Hot Lanta. At the first stop on today's show, we check out a pair of Auburns owned by George Glaze. Auburn was a car manufacturer established in Indiana around 1909. Production of Auburns, Cords, and Duesenbergs ended in 1937, but these two beautiful restorations drive on. Mr. Glaze is the proud owner of this Auburn Speedster and Phaeton.
My father was a mechanic. I grew up working around his shop, so ultimately I had an affinity for cars, particularly old cars compared to what some of the younger folks think about now as vehicles. After I got to the point in life that I could afford the hobby, if that's what it is, it's more vocation. At times you work on them so much. I have had various cars, Rolls Royce, Packards, Pierce Harris, all kinds of cars. But after acquiring an Auburn, which was the one I had prior to this black and silver Phaeton back here, I developed an affinity for that car. But these two are a little unique in that they are approximately the same year, 30, 31, with a color combination that makes a nice pair wherever you may take them. I particularly enjoy coming to places like this, looking at the other cars. I appreciate them. Really doesn't matter whether they're pristine condition or just very good drivers. They all have an appeal to me.
Show organizer Chaz Sidney is here to tell us something special about where those two Auburns are on display.
We're in the $1 Million Salon at the Summit Racing Equipment Atlanta Motorama show. In here we've got 7 phenomenal vehicles. These are primarily classics from the 20s and 30s era, and actually the teens as well. And these are some local collectors, from local collectors as well as collectors from outside the area. And just like this building and our show car garage, we kind of scour the southeast and east coast to try to find the best cars that we can to showcase here at the Motorama show. And basically, if they're shown here once, they'll not be shown here and again. Each year it's a completely different collection that we feature. And it's the $1 Million Salon and the show car garage are two of the highlights of the Summit Racing Equipment Atlanta Motorama each year.
Next up isn't a car at all. It's Greg Saunders' old apricot semi-truck.
Hey, this is a 1941 Chevy cab over. It originally came out of Holly, Colorado. It was a fire truck. It ended up on a farm up in North Dakota, and a mate of mine brought it down to Sarasota. He started building it, realized he was too big to get in it, so I took it off his hands, and basically it's just a cab and a frame when I got it. So then we took it and did the complete build on it. It's now running a 502 Chevy big block with a 700R4 tranny behind it, dually rear end. We got to the paint is apricot with violet pearl. I wanted to put everything back on it that came in 1941, all the stainless and all the chrome, because I think that's just so amazing that they came up with such beauty back then. It was very hard to find all the stuff, but it is out there, but you have to really look for it. The interior is a full leather interior with banjo steering wheel, tilt wheel, air conditioning, power steering, power brakes. The truck, we've driven it to Louisville, Kentucky. We've driven it to Knoxville, Daytona a bunch of times. I'm out of North Tampa area, Florida. So, we do get around. We're up here in Atlanta at this great show here. We drove it up and we just have a really good time. They say half the fun is getting there, and that's what it is when we're driving a vehicle like this.
We'll be right back with more amazing cars on the Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group. The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, is brought to you by Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener. Brothers Truck Parts, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GM truck restoration. Original Parts Group, world-class restoration parts. Lokar Performance Products. Quality, plain and simple. Steve Glazner has only had his 1970 Ford Mustang Mach 1 for about 6 months. He loves the car and has a special affinity for the windshield wipers. The car was already restored when he bought it. Steve knows there's a different cam and carburetor on it, but he's just enjoying his retirement.
I had always wanted one, just basically never could afford it. So when somebody told me about this one, I've always been interested in this color and this model Mustang. So when we went to look at it, when he opened the barn door, half of me said right then, I'm gonna buy it. And then when he started the car up, the other half said, all right, it's a done deal. So that's how I ended up with it. I've only had it about 6 months. I've had it at home. I'm driving it as much as I can as a daily driver. Rain or shine, the windshield wipers work just fine. I retired due to health issues, and I have some free time on my hands, and I've always wanted this, and the opportunity came by, and I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Here on the Lokar Car Show, we aren't brand loyal when it comes to classic cars. We love them all. Next up is plumber James Parker. He's reliving his younger years with his girlfriend, driving around in his 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. This quick Camaro is equipped with a 383-inch stroker, bored 30 over, hydraulic roller cams, Borg-Warner Super T10 4-speed transmission, and a 12-bolt rear end. There are suspension goodies and more on this car, but we just don't have time to list them all.
When I was younger, I had a 68 Camaro and I had a 70, and I done them myself, and I said if I get back into it, I'm going to go for a 69. I just like Camaros. My favorite car. I drive it a couple days a week. I try to go at least one show a week with it. I do plumbing work, so I'm all the time busy as a plumber. So when I got time to go, I try to get in it and drive it. I'm not afraid to drive the car like a lot of these people are. I'll just get in it and go, me and my girlfriend, Evelyn. And we just enjoyed going to all the shows, eating with everybody, and just checking out the scenery.
Another Camaro at Summit Racing Equipment's Atlanta Motorama is Roger Miller's 1969 SSRS. Roger's had this candy apple red Chevy with custom interior for 11 years.
All right, I purchased the car about 11 years ago, and I have replaced the complete drivetrain. We have a 427 General Motors crate engine in it, a Tremec 5-speed, and a Moser 12-volt rear end. It is a candy apple red with a houndstooth interior. I purchased the car from a close friend of mine who had bought it from a speed shop in Kentucky, and that was like 11 years ago. And I've had it ever since, and did the drivetrain change like I described before. So I've had it for about 11 years.
Lokar Lowdown with Kevin Ford.
Hi, I wanted to take a minute to tell you about some of Lokar's staple items. We have brake cables, we've got connector cables, and we've got handbrakes. We also make foot brakes and under-dash handbrakes, but I wanted to really focus on one of the more legacy products that people may forget about. We don't advertise them as much as some of the newer, funner, cool stuff. This is a product that a lot of guys need. You know, you get in your street rod and you want to hook up your e-brake, but you don't know how. This guy bolts down to the floor, through the floor or in a console, very easy to hook up. We've got a bunch of different cables for all the different rear ends, calipers, even drive shaft style e-brakes. If you have a custom application, we're happy to listen and make something work for you. We've done it plenty of times. It comes with all the hardware you need. The handles are available chrome or black, as the cables are also available in our standard black and our stainless braid, just like all our throttle cables and other products. If you want to get your hands on it and check it out, come see us at a show. You can log on to lokar.com and we'll have a list of everywhere we're going to be. And while you're there, pick up a free catalog and we'll get it out to you.
Welcome back to the Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group. Morris Campbell's 56 Chevrolet Bel Air has a special family connection. This is a resto mod with an owner-described style. Under the hood is an LS3 engine mated to a 6-speed transmission. And the car is complete with AC for those hot Lanta car shows.
Brought this car home about 4 years ago as a project car. I actually brought it home the exact same day my first grandchild was born. It's a Bel Air and her name is Ava, so we actually call it Bel Ava. The car has an LS3 in it, 6-speed transmission, Tremec double overdrive. I drive it all the time. I put about 12,000 miles on it last year. I'll drive it in the rain, I'll drive it to work, and of course Ava loves to ride in it. Did a lot of the work on it and had a lot of help too. A couple of my friends joined in. The engine was done at a Southern Performance System, and I had some help at American Resto Mods with some of the other actions on it. So, as you can see, I tried to keep it a little old school. We call it classic elegance because we kept it as old school as we possibly could. The 15-inch wheels instead of the 20-inch that a lot of people are going to, and got to have a little chrome, and it's got all the amenities of a new car. It's got air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, power seats, 12-speaker stereo, so it has just about everything that you want in your car.
Now, the gorgeous brown black beauty you see in front of you is a Willys, the very same Willys that made the Jeep into the icon it is today. This is Terry Slocum's 1941 Willys Coupe with a supercharged Chevy 454 mated to a 4-speed tranny with a Ford 9-inch rear end. There's a beautiful split rear window and a really cool custom exhaust dump.
Yeah, it's a 1941 Willys Coupe. We started this project about 3 years ago. We built it pretty much from the frame up. It's a custom frame. Custom fiberglass body. We've done a lot of modifications inside. The engine itself is a 454 Chevy, obviously a supercharged with 671, approximately 650 horsepower. It has 4-speed automatic in it, Ford 9-inch Fab 9. The whole car is set up and built to handle up to 1,000+ horsepower on it. So there's room for growth in there if I feel like I want to go faster or something. But it's been a fun build. Basically did the whole car in my garage, paint, interior, everything. It's been an exciting thing, and I've met so many great people, and this is what it's about.
Original Parts Group Restoration Tip.
Today we have here our 70 to 72 SS Chevelle and El Camino dash assembly. This assembly is manufactured to OE specifications and includes all of the factory mounting brackets for easy installation. This dash also includes pre-installed outer vents, as well as a molded glove box, all of the factory cutouts for the radio, the lighter, and the wiper, as well as the original chrome trim around the gauges and the whole dash. We feature the Madrid grain pattern and texture for an OE look. This part is hard to find and exclusively produced by OPGI. You can find this and thousands of other products at opgi.com.
We'll be right back with more amazing cars on the Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group. The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, has been brought to you by National Parts Depot. Make your dream happen. Appalachian Tourism. Virginia is for lovers. Croftgate USA, the only car care product you will ever need. Advertising Edge, the official uniform of the NHRA. We have another car most wouldn't expect to see in Atlanta, or at least one built quite the way this one is. Rex Rexroad brought his 1948 Ford Prefect to show what he theorizes is a real car. This stupid super fast car is a short wheelbase and began life as a London taxi cab. According to Rex, this car makes life interesting.
I got this car in a trade 22 years ago, and it's on its 5th motor. It's probably got more miles than I want to think about. And it was originally a London taxi cab. I think they must haul Santa's elves in it because it's not very big. But it's a 4-door version of, like I said, an English Ford. It has a 572 cubic inch Chevrolet motor with a Power Glide transmission. It has a 4 9-inch rear with wheelie bars and headers, which I fabricated the headers, me and a friend of mine. The front end suspension's all hand built. The rear end housing's hand built. And it's a fun car to drive. Your life passes before your eyes several times. So it's very squirrely. It's only a 94-inch wheelbase. My theory is real men drive short wheelbase cars. Anybody can drive a long car. I got the Thumper Award today, which is, there's, I guess, over 1,000 cars here, and this was picked as the baddest sounding car on the property. It's pretty loud. I wear earplugs when I drive it. So it's like I said, it's hard to slip in at night after you've been out. Everybody knows you're home.
Debbie Curtis brought her 1931 Auburn Phaeton from Brentwood, Tennessee. She fell in love with this handsome hunk a year ago around Mother's Day.
And we've had this car about a year. We bought it at the Auburn auction over Mother's Day weekend, and at the time we were not even planning on buying a car. A friend of mine went up. It was her mother had passed away and she didn't want to stay home for the Mother's Day weekend, so they went up and they were looking at cars to buy. Well, I was walking around and I saw this one and I fell in love with it. And we said, oh no, we're not going to buy a car, but because of the club we belong to, they said, oh, you get a free bidder's pass. Well, then that was it. We went ahead and we bought her up there. Immediately after buying, of course, because we were in Auburn, which is the place where the car is from, about 20 Auburn guys swarmed the car and started picking it apart. I was like, no, that's just fine. She's beautiful to me. I don't want to hear what's wrong with it. So since then, we've done a lot of restoration, cosmetically made it look really pretty. We drive it around Franklin area. We've gone to a lot of the Auburn Court Duesenberg Club events. We just got back from an event they had at Boca Raton, the concourse down there, where we did a trip up to Mar-a-Lago. Of course, when you go from Tennessee to Florida, we trailered it. You can't drive these cars that far. So we have a lot of fun with her. Since the time we bought her a year ago, we have bought 2 more Auburns. And so I got the bug. My husband is my mechanic and my car handler, but I got the bug for the Auburns. He's a modern car kind of guy. He does all our restoration and everything. So we do the work, we do the painting, we do everything ourselves. So we have a lot of fun with this.
I'm the Georgia representative for the National Street Rod Association, and today I'm showing my 1955 Ford F100 pickup. It's a fairly recent build. It's been together less than a year. It's a Jaguar British Racing green, light gray interior. Has a teased seat, leather interior. It's on a 55 chassis with a 1972 Monte Carlo front subframe and a Ford 9-inch rear end. Has a 355-inch small block Chevrolet with aluminum heads, a lot of good pieces. The truck was originally built to be a parts truck, just to chase parts and have fun with. And as my wife says, it got out of hand. So it's a little bit nicer than I intended, but it's a lot of fun to drive.
Well, this is the 4th year for the Summit Racing Equipment Atlanta Motorama. It's grown every year. It seems like we have new elements come in, new people come out to participate. This year, once again, we have a record number of car clubs, a record number of participants, and just so many different variables that are part of the show. Truly, it's something you can walk around all day long and not see everything that's here.
Each week, Croftgate USA Car Care Products picks the best of show from the Lokar Car Show. This week's award is presented to Atlanta barber Tommy Thomas for his family collection of Chevrolets.
I'm a big Chevrolet fan. I love Corvettes. Hey, I bought my first Corvette in 1967 Corvette 427 390 horse, which is right here, 4-speed. I've been in love with Chevrolets. My wife, my kids, my grandkids all love the cars I have. And I started with this one in 1990. Then I bought my second car, was a 68 Vet that's down there. And then I bought my wife a 2002 Electron Blue for her birthday, and she just loves Corvettes. Everybody in my family loves Corvettes. So I kind of got all these cars going to my kids and my grandkids.
Thanks for staying with us through the scorching heat of Hotlanta's Summit Racing Equipment's Atlanta Motorama. If you enjoyed today's show, then don't miss next week's episode. We're jumping coasts as the Lokar Car Show travels to Seal Beach, California for part 1 of the Seal Beach Classic Car Show.